What up, Daryl? He can't talk.
I unmuted him for the time being.
Can I do that too, or just you?
Let's see if I can make you. Yeah, I can make. Actually, I think if I make you host, then I'm not host anymore.
Yeah.
Hey, good morning. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, man. We're gonna be doing this call a little differently. Since there's gonna be more people, everyone's gonna be muted by default, and then we're just gonna go through. And whenever you have a question, just type in the chat, and then we'll unmute you, and then we'll go through them. I want to do it like that. All right. We got some people in here.
Charles back again. Not going to miss any of the calls.
Just a heads up, guys. Everyone is muted. So how we're going to do it is we're just going to go through. When you have a question, just drop a note in the chat, say question, and then we're going to unmute you guys one at a time, go through your questions, just so that way it doesn't get too crazy, because I think there's going to be too many people for all of us to be unmuted at the same time for this to actually work.
Dude, there's a function where you can raise your hand.
Oh, is there really?
Chat. Yeah, you can just raise your hand, and then we'll unmute you. If you go to the participants list.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so Daryl's actually got a question already. Let's unmute him.
All right.
And you need to do that. I can't.
Daryl, what's going on, brother?
Hey, good morning. Yeah, so getting ready to launch my ads. I was concerned about people having questions and stuff. So I ordered my whole store basically. I ordered everything that I'm selling to play with it and learn how it works and get knowledgeable on the product. And I tell you, I just think that the product is not worth the price that was recommended in the B.O.S.S build. It's just way too high. So the product costs $10 off AliExpress, and they're recommending $49.99. If I paid $49.99 for these things, I'd be very upset when I got it. I just don't think they're worth $50. Maybe 29. But what kind of margin do I have to go after to be profitable? That's like a 400% markup. But I mean, the pictures are a little misleading. They look bigger than they are. They're like really small. They're plastic. They're kind of cheesy. Gosh, I think I'm just reaching too hard to go for $49.
Yeah. So generally we try to go for products and we want to mark them up by at least 3x. So that's kind of the bare minimum. So in your case, $10 product, we would want to sell it for no less than $30. So I would say you're free to play around with the pricing, but I also, I wouldn't play around with it too much until you've actually run ads and gotten some data and seen, okay, are people actually willing to pay this much money for this? Because ultimately, I'm sure that your concerns are valid, but ultimately you're probably not the market that you're selling to. So your opinions, while your opinions and your thoughts and stuff, they're absolutely valid, but they don't give you as much, information and insight as the information, that your market gives you. So, and that's just a bias that you're constantly going to be fighting, everyone is. And it's just something you kind of have to just train yourself to get over, is this, thinking of, would I buy this, or how would I feel, or et cetera, about me, when in reality, what you think isn't really all that important. What the people you're selling to, what they think, that's what actually matters.
Yeah, I considered that greatly. I just want to prevent getting a bunch of returns, right, and unhappy people. Because if I go down the road of starting a brand, right, I don't want to go right off the bat, having a lot of unhappy customers. You know what I mean? So that was my concern. I'm getting ready to launch the ad, so I'll start gathering the data. But what I was thinking was using the $49 as the normal price, and then doing a 20% off or whatever for $29.99, just showing that. yeah, I'm just not comfortable launching them at $50.
If you were going to do that, what I would recommend doing is increasing the compare at price, and then so that it's at least like a 50% discount. Because a 20% discount.
So make it like 69.
Yeah, something like that. Make it like 69, and then you could put the sale price as 29, and then that way it's a little enticing offer.
Daryl, I just looked up your build, and I think it is probably a case of what Nate said, where you're not the target market, so you don't think it's worth that. Like, I would never buy this for this. I would not like this, and I wouldn't either. Like, your product doesn't appeal to me, but it looks great. Like, it's a really good looking product. It's a really like, the perceived value is very high. I think they'll definitely sell for that price. But I saw in your build you've also got products at $39.99 or $39.95, I believe. So if that's a concern for you, I'd start with those as opposed to the $49.99 or $95 one, because sort of calm your own mind, and then once you start getting some feedback from customers, you can play around with it. When it comes to starting your own brand, it seems weird to say, but it's almost like an advantage if the product quality on the AliExpress ones isn't that great, because if you then start your own brand and have custom products, then you're going to stand out from everyone else. So that's something to keep in mind for down the line. But I think honestly, it's mostly a case of you thinking, I would not buy this for this price, because you're way off the target market. I'm sure you see that as well.
Roger. Thanks. I appreciate it.
Word. All right. So, Scotty, should we address some of the things that we saw in the chat?
Yeah. I don't think you muted Daryl, or you unmuted him again.
Did I?
All right. But I can pull up those questions we got. So, from Charles, when the sharks are talking about creating lookalike audiences, they make it worldwide, and then when they showed how to use that lookalike audience in an ad set for it, the targeting was also worldwide, excluding shit-tier countries. Is that the play, and moving away from just targeting US, like the course suggests with the cold interest targeting? So my take on this is, if you've got products that you can ship internationally fairly easily, and the pricing for EPAC and all that works out, which it should, in most cases at least, then once you have a product that's working, whether you're doing lookalikes or interests, you want to add other countries. Like, once you have something that's working, you scale internationally. That's just how it works. And the lookalikes kind of ties in, it kind of doesn't. Like, if it isn't working really well yet, stick to US and figure that market out first. But if it's working really, really well and you've got lookalikes, then you try interests worldwide and try lookalikes worldwide. So it's not really a question of lookalikes equal worldwide, interests equal US only. It's just a question of what stage you're at. So in the beginning, US only, and as you have a product that's working, a proven offer, once you've got all that dialed in, then go worldwide.
Yeah, I'd say that's pretty solid. And just so you guys kind of see the reasoning behind that, the reasoning behind like US only versus worldwide minus shit tier countries is like pretty much just the amount of ad spend that you're spending per day. So if you're going to start off spending $100 a day, $200 a day, if that was the case, then you'd probably it'd probably be better to do worldwide minus shit tier countries as opposed to just US, because you have more spend to work with. But when you're just getting started and your spend is $50 a day, generally we found that US only works better than worldwide. So that's kind of the logic there. As you go on and as you become profitable and you start scaling, then absolutely go to worldwide. But at first, that's kind of why we recommend doing a US only. And that's why we do it that way.
All right, next question, still from Charles. If you have a profitable ad set, when do you know when to shut it down when it turns unprofitable? And he gives the example, he's got an ad set at 2.0 ROAS for a week, and then the following 3 days it drops to 0.9. What period of time should you let it go before switching it off?
For that, I would say he's pretty on point there. Like, generally, like you want to give an ad set like 3 to 5 days to optimize. Now, if it's already been running for however long and it's doing well, then, you know, it's already been optimized and then it just started falling off. Then I would say that the time frame is pretty much the same after 3 to 5 days. And it depends on the specific situation in some cases, but I would say general rule between 2 to 5 days. If it's, you know, unprofitable, then shut it off and, you know, replace it with a different ad set, right? Test new things. And that's kind of like the whole thing that you should constantly be doing is, you know, testing new things so that when this does happen, which inevitably it will, your ad sets will stop performing as well over time. Then, you know, you already have something ready to replace it with, right? So then you're never stuck in that, you know, cycle of everything's working really well and you're just kind of sitting on it and then, oh, it stops working so well and then you're scrambling trying to get back to where you were. Like, no, you want to be constantly, you know, changing out bad ad sets and replacing them with new ones to test new things so that your ads are always performing optimally.
Yeah, I'd also add that, like, it depends on the context of what are the other ad sets doing. So if everything's going well and then everything dips, then you need to look at your site, you need to look at your funnel, you need to look at everything, and it may just be like a Facebook fluctuation. But if it's like one ad set and you've got 3 others that are consistently still doing well, then I'd just shut that off like after 2-3 days, I'd say. But if it's everything that dips, then you've got bigger problems that you need to figure out. And I'd probably either try different ad sets or look at your site first and foremost. Look at your funnel, look at your site loading speed. Think back, what have you changed in the last few days? If you added images, maybe it's slowing it down, maybe it's not congruent. I'd look at all that if you see like a sudden dip after being consistently profitable for a week.
I would agree.
Daryl, does that clear up, or no, was it Daryl? Charles, does that clear up the questions you had?
I think I just unmuted I think it's the right guy.
Yeah, that does.
That does, okay. Any follow-ups or anything, or are you fine for now?
No, I'm good for now.
All right, perfect.
All right. Now we got James. He gave us some potential topics for today. How and when to tweak ads / duplicate and test targeting more specifically. That's kind of a general question, but I think pretty much all that's covered in what module is that? Module 16, 15 or 16 or something like that. In regards to, you know, when to, you know, make changes to your ads and stuff based off the metrics that you have. Is James in here? Yeah, James is in here. What's up, James? Yeah, I'm just gonna unmute you. Can you explain to me a little bit like more specifically what you meant by that?
Yeah, so I basically started, obviously came into the B.O.S.S build system last week and then just started running ads Friday morning. And maybe I was too quick on this, but I took those 2 days worth of data and used, I think it was the content views to make lookalikes. And so I stopped running those 5 ads that I had started with and then started with the 5 lookalike ads. So that might have been too soon.
Oh yeah, that's not what you want to do. So generally, like you never really want to shut off an ad unless it's unprofitable. So there's really no reason to. So if you had those 5 ad sets and all of them were performing terribly, then I would say, okay, that's a little bit more understandable. But if some of them were showing promise, and not even necessarily profitable because they only ran for 2 days, and 2 days is like the very beginning of that range of like 2 to 5 days, generally closer to 3 to 4. So you kind of have to give Facebook that opportunity to optimize. But yeah.
And also, like, how quickly are you creating the lookalikes? Like, how many view contents did you have?
That's a great, I don't think I had very many, honestly.
Yeah.
And I'm trying
That's
to look
an issue.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm probably just getting ahead of myself. I'm doing the $10 a day for each of those 5 ads. So.
And how was it going originally?
Well, I started Friday morning, and then when I woke up Saturday morning, I sent that message in. But then after that, I had my second sale just on the second day of running those ads, and each of those sales was from 2 different ads. So
Yeah, I think you jumped.
That's decent. Yeah.
It's a tough.
There's no rush to get to lookalike audiences. Like, you want to test them, but first of all, you don't switch off interests. Like, interests are good. Like, they're not quite as powerful as like a really strong purchase lookalike, but interests, leave them on, leave them running forever if they're working. There's no reason to ever shut them off if they're working. And for lookalikes, even few content lookalikes, you're gonna have to be a little more patient. I think the Sharks probably say in the program to wait till 500 view contents. I think that's their recommendation. So yeah, definitely wait until then. And even then, there's no saying it's going to work. Like, what that means is once you get 500 view contents or 500 add to carts, you want to test it, but that doesn't mean it's going to work. It's like, that's just like an extra thing that you can test once you get to that point. Might work, might not.
Yeah, personally, like what I would do in your situation is I would just stick with the interests and test the interests before I would even test all the interests. I'll let them run for at least 3 to 5 days before I would even consider doing view content lookalikes. Because the data that you're getting from the view content lookalike, it's very, like, how do I say this? Like, I want to say like primal. That's not quite the right word. But it's like, it's not mature. It's the very initial data that you have based off of, starting from nothing. So the value of that data, is not going to be as strong as it's going to be, when you're more consistent. And that's really where, purchase lookalikes come in, and that's where, it's fucking over from there. So yeah, I would say just stick to kind of what we lay out in the program, testing the interests, 5 ad sets a day. Make sure you've gone through whatever module 16 or 15, whatever it is, when we talk about the, reading your metrics and then kind of like how to make decisions based off of, the data that you're looking at, when to kill ad sets, scale them, duplicate them, et cetera, et cetera. If you just follow that, and it's tough because your first inclination is going to be to just want to fucking always be changing shit on Facebook because you just like know that that's where the money is made. And this is a conversation that Scotty and I had when I was first getting started. And I was like, dude, I can't stop like looking at my Facebook ads dashboard. I want to tweak stuff. Like, I just can't wait to get that first sale, et cetera, et cetera. And he's like, dude, like, fucking stop, go take a walk, like come back in a couple hours. Like, don't look at your Facebook ads dashboard for like 2 days after you start running your ads. And then if you can do that, you're going to be a lot better off than, because the problem is when you do that, you're just fucking going to change stuff that could have, started working if you just let it keep running. You just didn't touch it. So it's a little counterintuitive, but sometimes you have to actually do less work to make more money in the case of Facebook ads.
So moving on through your questions, or actually that first question, when to tweak ads, I'm not quite sure what exactly mean by this, but tweak to me sounds like a little change, like something small that you want to tweak, just see if it works better, like a little split test. I don't recommend doing much of that, at least in the beginning. You want to be doing big changes, like completely change the creative. Like, don't change a color or one word, like completely change it. Use a different image, use completely different copy, use long copy, short copy, use different angles. That's what you want to be testing early on. So in the beginning phases, you're not tweaking ads at all. Like, until you have something that's really proven and successful over a long time, you don't want to tweak. You want to make drastic big changes to see if that works dramatically better.
And then for like more specific stuff, watch it's in, I think it's module, I forget. It's the 4 elements of the e-commerce success equation video. It's in somewhere in semester 1. The 4 elements there, the product and the offer, your ads, your angle, and your audience, those are the 4 big things that you should be tweaking, to get it to the point where it's actually profitable, or it's, working better than, once when you first started. So for example, like you could take your product, right? The product you're selling, and you could change the offer, right? Instead of saying it's this price, 50% off, you could say it's, this price, there's only this many left, or you change the urgency scarcity, you change the discount, right? Make it as enticing as it could possibly be. And a really good way to just figure out what that looks like is just look at your competitors, look at who's selling the same products that you are, what's working for them. That's a really good way to tell. And then your audience, right? You can change your audiences. That's probably not something because you already kind of have those in your boss build. So I wouldn't mess with that too much. But then you also have your angles. Your angles are going to be huge. And obviously you have a lot of angles included in your build. But it's always good to be coming up with new angles. And that's ultimately like the biggest thing is being able to think like, like a marketer basically, and be able to come up with these enticing new angles that are going to make people, want to buy it. It's going to put something in their face that they're going to really resonate with and be like, oh, wow, I need that. And then they buy it. And then what was the other one? Then, and then your ads, tweak your, change your creative entirely, change your copy entirely, change the angle entirely. Like Scotty said, you want to make these big changes one at a time. It's very important that you make them one at a time though, so that you actually know what change resulted in better or worse results. Because if you change 3 things at one time, then you don't know which of those 3 things actually got the results that, it got.
So for your other questions, how much to expect to spend every day? That one's pretty simple. It's whatever your budget is. So however many $10 ad sets you've got running, that's how much you're going to spend.
First, it's going to be $50 a day when you first start. That's flat out $50 a day when you first start.
For like at least the first few days, and then you'll decide to cut some ad sets or not, etc. Then when to kill an ad or know if a product is not a winner or change copy. That's all in the program. I want to say module. Nate, what module is that?
Yeah, I'm about to look.
That's all in the program. Have you checked that out, or are you still going through it?
No, I just completed module 18, I believe, this morning.
Gotcha.
So I'll just have to circle back and check that out again.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it like definitely don't hesitate to go through sections again, especially the Facebook ad ones, because most of them are really dense and it's going to be tough to you're not going to remember every single little thing, and there might be some things in there that we just touch on kind of briefly that you might have forgotten about, and then if you don't actually implement that part of it, then it could throw everything off. So definitely very important.
Yeah, and we've got the transcriptions in there as well, so it might be useful for you for reference when you're setting up campaigns or when you're looking at the data to sort of have something to reference while you're actually doing the work.
Okay, yeah, thanks.
Payments. Customers are paying through PayPal. I'm hearing PayPal holds payments for a while. What do you guys find works best? Yeah, PayPal will hold your payments. Like when you start.
They might. They might or they might not.
No, they will. 100% of the time.
It's never. Well, okay.
100% of the time.
No, I don't think it's 100%. It only happened to me on one of my PayPal accounts once.
I have 100% every single PayPal account.
I think that might have something to do with you being in Switzerland. I feel like in the U.S. it might not be quite as strict, but either way, it's highly likely that PayPal will hold your payments, and it's just something that you have to plan for. Like there's not really any super magic trick to get around it. That's the reality of it, and you just kind of have to be prepared for that and be prepared cash flow wise to be able to deal with that.
So you can't expect to have the money that you sell today in your bank account tomorrow. You have to have enough cash on hand basically to keep running, and the hold I think is 27 days. So
okay.
Yeah.
And then what kind of credit card is best for using for ad spend? And what to apply
for one for Nate.
Ad spend? Yeah, I'll take that one. So the card that I use is the American Express. I believe it's the Business Gold card. It's kind of confusing because they have like the American Express Gold, like the American Express Business Gold. I'm not sure which one it is. I think they're pretty similar. But that one gives, I believe it's 4 times points on the category that you spend the most in. So U.S. advertising is one of those categories. So that's the way that I do it. When is it worth it to do that? I would say, it's not a bad idea. Like there's not really any reason not to, but there's also not really a huge benefit to it until you're actually spending a decent amount consistently. So I'll just say once you're spending like, I don't know, once you're consistent and you're spending probably like $100 a day, I would definitely do that because you'll fucking be able to fly for free, like everywhere. It's fucking dope. What is the annual fee? Daryl, I believe the annual fee is like $100 maybe. It's not anything too crazy. I want to say it's like 90, 97 or 95 or something like that. Don't quote me on that though. They have some that are 600 a year. Yeah, I have the business platinum. I also have that one, but that one doesn't get the same points multipliers. I just have that one for other stuff. The gold is 295 right now. Oh, okay. I think that sounds about right, Devin. But yeah, the platinum one just gets you into like airplane or airport lounges and stuff. There's a couple other benefits, and I just thought it'd be cool, so I have that one too.
Nate, can you unmute Daryl for a sec?
I can.
Got it.
Yeah, so the PayPal account, the way it works is you're not going to be, it's not going to be frozen if you just put money in there. It's going to happen if you start doing a decent chunk of revenue fairly quickly. It's like if you have a new account and suddenly you're doing $500 revenue a week, they'll put a hold on it. That's what will happen. Just like a risk limitation thing for them.
What I did is I was selling some stuff on eBay, so I just started using that account to get the money.
Gotcha.
So I rated up over $500 this week, and so far I haven't got any notices or anything from it. If there's any kind of a hold, it keeps asking me if I want to withdraw the money. So it's looking like it's working pretty good.
All right.
I figured that would start the clock, right? If there was a hold, by the time my ads start running and start coming in, I would reduce the 21 days down to say 10 or whatever, it'd be shorter. So that's why I did that.
Gotcha. And for the other comment you wrote back, you'd like those expanded. The Facebook ad creation was really fast and short. Do you mean that in the program, right, you're talking about, or on the live call?
No, in the program, I was going to go back and look at the lesson where you actually create the page posts. It was really fast paced. Nate, you were in like in a hurry of banging through it. So I had to like really pause it and stop and keep going back and forth. It would have been better if it was like a little slower, a little bit more detail. Plus it was really blurry. I'm on a 24-inch monitor, so I have it blown up, but it was really blurry. I don't know if it was optimized for phone or what, but the video is kind of hard to see.
Yeah, I'll look into that. I think that's probably a good call. I think for that, I just didn't think much about it because I just there's just some things that, you kind of take for granted that you just assume everyone just knows how to do just because you know how to do it. So I think that might've been like a case of that.
I concur.
We can definitely go into a little bit more detail on creating page posts and setting up your Facebook page and things like that.
Yeah, because to me that's critical how the ads look. Of course, I want the ads to be as good as possible before I launch and test them, right? So I thought that was like pretty critical. You got the copy down, got everything down, but as far as adding the pictures and getting the page posts to look perfect before I launch the ad campaign, maybe I'm going, trying to be too, going for 100% solution, but I just don't want my ads to look dicked up and then give me bad data when I'm paying for it.
There's not really that much you need to look out for when you're actually creating the page posts. Once you have the copy and the image, the page post is really just, you upload the image, you copy paste the copy in there. Like there's not that much you can do wrong. Like some people mess it up with like unnecessary emojis. Some people, like mostly it's wrong copy, wrong image. One thing you have to keep an eye on is depending on the placements you have. Like if you're advertising Instagram stories and Instagram and Facebook mobile and Facebook desktop, that the image sizes you want to click through, because when you're on the ads page on Facebook, you'll see the preview and you'll want to click through those different options and see what the image looks like, so that you see like, does it distort it, does it cut off the product?
Yeah,
but other than that, honestly, there's not that much.
The other thing was editing it, right? So once I create it, let's say I see a spelling error, right? And I'm like, shit, I got to fix that. Well, I went back, I couldn't figure out a way to edit it. I had to just delete it and make a new one, right? I thought that was kind of smooth.
Yeah, that's the way it works with Facebook. You can edit it. Like if you create it, you can immediately edit it, I think. Yeah, you can edit it right away. But once you add it to an ad, you can't edit it anymore. And I think that's like a protection for Facebook so that they don't have an ad blow up and get a bunch of social proof, and then some clever marketer goes in and changes the contents of the ad. So that's, I think, why there's that protection in there. But yeah, it's a total bummer. Add some time to your work, but just the way it is.
Okay.
All right. Now, Devin asked, let's say you have a creative / offer that's working, but you still want to keep testing like a new creative. Do you launch new ad sets and just include the ad that's working with the new ad with it and then read the data to show where Facebook is sending the traffic? How I would do it, yeah, pretty much exactly like that. If I had, say I have 3 ad sets that are working really well, but I want to test a new creative, what I would do is I would duplicate those 3 ad sets into a new campaign, and then I would just add the new ad with the existing ad in all 3 of those ad sets, and then let those run. What you don't want to do is add a new creative to existing ad sets that are already working, because that's going to reset the learning phase, which you obviously don't want to do if it's already working. So if you just duplicate it and then add the new ad, do it like that. That's how I do it.
Yeah, we when we're running ads for clients, we tend to have we'll have testing campaigns and the main campaign. So we'll have a main campaign that's running all the time, and then we'll either have an audience testing campaign or a creative testing campaign, or both. And that's where we then add the ads to, basically. So the main campaign runs and runs and runs. And then if something's working in the audience testing or in the creatives testing, we'll add it to the main campaign as a new ad set. Can you follow that there, Devin?
Yeah.
That's one way you can do it. Like, that's not a must, but that's one way you can do it. Devin, I think you're unmuted. You can talk.
Oh, sorry, I didn't know. Oh, so so in that testing campaign, do you then just duplicate it into the main campaign from there?
From the testing?
Or do you actually start a new one altogether with the same criteria from the testing campaign ad set?
No, we'd add a new ad set to the testing campaign.
Gotcha.
To the original campaign.
But then going the other way.
Yeah, I think he's asking about if the test proves fruitful, then I think he's asking, do you duplicate the test ad set into the main, or do you duplicate the test ad set into the main campaign?
Yeah.
Yeah.
As an ad set, though, not the individual ads.
Yeah. Gotcha. Okay.
And that's kind of a way we have it, because if you've got this ad set, or actually the whole campaign for testing, then it forces you to keep testing. Like, you don't just rest on your laurels, and you keep testing, and it's at a lower budget. So if it doesn't work one week, it doesn't work. And if one week it works great, then you add that to the main one.
Gotcha.
All right. Jason, I just unmuted you. Before you go, can you explain what you mean with that message?
Yeah, he dropped a message in the Slack chat to talk about backend flows, mixing up the offer. Those were his 2 topics he wanted us to talk about. So, mixing up the offer.
Jason, oh wait, did I not unmute you?
You didn't.
I just pressed.
All right, here it is. So, I guess 2 things. So, I guess the one thing about mixing up the offer, and this is just something I've been playing with, kitchen niche, and I thought about having someone like, and I know this is typical in my
Can you hear him fine, Nate?
No, Jason, you're cutting out, bro.
have a cookbook or something like that.
Do you have
I'll just hit you guys up later. That's fine.
Yeah, please do. Just send us a DM or put it in the general Slack chat, whatever.
All right, man. These AirPods suck. All right, cool. I'll talk to you guys later then.
All right, brother.
All right, have a nice one.
All right. Cool. Is that all the questions that we had?
No, we had a lot.
Oh, we had a lot more.
From Keel, how much inventory to have on hand? Yeah, like there's no inventory. We're drop shipping. You place the order on AliExpress and it ships straight to your customer. So like they place it on your site, you place it on AliExpress and it ships straight to them. Nate, we should probably add that to the program.
Yeah, I kind of figured that. I guess that's another one of those things, like I was saying, that we just kind of take for granted. That's just like common knowledge. But I actually remember when I was first starting, I was so confused about that and how that all worked and how you fulfilled the orders and everything like that. I was super confused about that. So yeah, we probably should add something about that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's real basic stuff. It's just like I could see how it would be confusing if you had never been exposed to this stuff before.
And then Charles Knight / Devon wanted us to switching up things in ads in general to continue testing. Yeah, I think we've talked about that. You want to make the big changes, so change the creative, change the angle. Those are the big things you want to test. And then once you've got something working, you can do fine tuning with the copy. But that's pretty much the big thing that you want to continuously test. Yeah, Daryl, you can't edit page posts once they're running, unfortunately. Adrian asks, I know a lot of customers don't read the shipping statement in the product description and send emails asking about the shipping anyway. What's the best method of displaying, communicating the shipping times with customers? So I wouldn't say, yes, a lot of customers don't read it, like the whole product description. Do you get a ton of emails? No, you get some. What's the best way of displaying it? Either text or you can have some sort of graphic, but I wouldn't recommend that if you're dropshipping. I would just have it in text. Don't hide it, state it up front, but if people don't read it, they don't read it.
Yeah, I would say, I mean, you can put it on your product page in the description. I don't think it's really going to be, it's not going to like, make or break it either way if you do that or don't do that. But you want to definitely make sure it's in either the product description or in the checkout with the shipping option, and maybe both. But you want to make sure that it's at least somewhere, and you want to make sure that you have that shipping page, in your footer, and have that page with your shipping information, or like the frequently asked questions and shipping information, so people can see that and easily find that, when they're looking around your site. But you will get emails about that. You're going to get emails. If you had 3-day shipping, you would still get emails. It's just how people are.
Daryl, looking at product that requires me to buy inventory, I see that as a later phase. Yes, it absolutely is. Once you have something working, once you've got an email list, once you've got customer lookalikes, once you've got all that good stuff, once you understand the market, you know the messaging you need to appeal to them, then that's when you can start thinking about buying inventory. If you do it now, you're just going to wait a long time. It's going to be a massive headache, as Nate can attest to. And you also just don't know if it's going to work. So definitely wait for now. Then I think we're getting to the end of the questions. Jason asked, do we have a module on CBOs? I don't think we do. CBOs,
I think
CBOs are tough to talk about because do you have a module?
I thought we did. Let me see, because I thought we did.
Yeah, I don't think there's a dedicated one. I think you're right, Devin.
Yeah, no. Well, there's definitely not inside the B.O.S.S School of Business, but I feel like let me look into that, because I feel like we did do a module on CBO.
Yeah, so kind of, Daryl, it'll kind of help you. It might also greatly confuse you. CBOs at the moment, I think, are a bit tough to talk about because they're changing. Like, they're not changing fundamentally, but I feel they're getting better. So I don't know if that's because we're getting better at running them or whether, like, the actual CBOs are becoming better. Like 2 months ago, a month ago, like there's a constant improvement in how they're performing that we're seeing. At the moment, we're running a mix of CBO and ad sets or ad set budget still. It's September, yeah. But you want to start early and sort of get used to it. So the thing about CBO is I don't think it's ideal for you if you're testing, like the beginning early testing phases. I would not use CBO for. I would use the traditional standard campaigns where you set the budget at the ad set level. So for those of you who don't know, CBO is campaign budget optimization, where essentially instead of setting a budget for each ad set, you set a budget for like the entire campaign, you add the ad sets without a budget, and then Facebook decides which ad set to allocate spend to. Now, this is the future. This is how it's going to work from September. But right now, you have the choice of both. Nate?
Yeah, I was going to say, I think people like CBO sounds like some like so new, so different, like so crazy. It's really not. It's literally just exactly what Scotty said. The only thing that it's doing is taking where you're determining the spend and it's moving it from the ad set level to the campaign level, and just giving Facebook the ability to decide where to spend that budget as opposed to you deciding where to spend that budget. So it doesn't fundamentally change really anything about Facebook ads other than how the budget is spent. So, you know,
it's an improvement. It's an improvement.
Yeah, I think it's
once you get it working. The problem is they started rolling it out when it was a little buggy. Think of it like this. If you're running ads already, you know that you set the budget at the ad set level, right? And then within the ad set, you have multiple ads. So you might have 2 ads within one ad set, right? And you set the budget for the entire ad set. And then Facebook decides which ad gets a spend. So if you have 2 ads in one ad set, one ad might get $8 spend, the other might get $2. And you have zero control over that. Like you can set up stuff, but in general, you're not going to control that. You're going to say, Facebook's smarter than me. They see all the data. They've got the algorithm. I'm going to let them handle that. And that already happens with the ads. And in the future, it's going to happen with the ad sets. That's really all there is to it. Are you guys duplicating niches in here, or are we all unique? All the builds are unique, obviously. Are we duplicating niches? We're definitely not duplicating like sub niches. If you've got something that's like the overarching theme is fitness, and then you've got a sub niche within that, then obviously there's going to be other fitness builds. Does that make sense?
But it's never going to, like, we're not duplicating, like each build is unique. There's never going to be, you know, the same build with the same market, the same products, the same angles. It might be, yeah, I mean, like Scotty said, there might be some in the same, like, overall general market, like health or fitness, or, you know, millennial girls, whatever. But yeah, it's never going to be the exact same or even close to the exact same.
Final question that we got in Slack: retargeting, when to start, budget, etc. So for retargeting, I think you can start fairly early, and it may work or may not work. That's essentially what it comes down to. Like everything else, you have to test it. Once you're spending enough money, retargeting is practically always a winner. But when you're just getting started, because the audience size are going to be like tiny, it's very possible that it's not going to be a winner, at least not consistently. Like you might have 2 days where it does great, and then after that it just drops off because the audience is so small, it just sees the ad so often that anyone that was going to buy has already bought. So yeah, when to start? Once you have, like, just for practicality, theoretically you could start day one, but for practicality, I would start when you have a product that you know is doing well, that's consistently making sales. Call it $100 a day, $50 a day, whatever. As soon as you've got a product that's consistently selling, I'd add some retargeting in there. As for budget, it's going to be small budget. If you're spending 50 to $100 a day on your main campaign, I would probably do between $3 and maybe $7 retargeting.
Yeah.
That would be sort of what I'd start with. Obviously, if you're spending $50 a day, you're closer to 3. If you're spending $100 a day, you're closer to 7.
Yeah, that's a mistake that I made when I was starting out, is thinking that I could just set my retargeting budget to $100 a day and it would kill. No, that's not how it works, because there's not enough people for Facebook to show your ads to when, you don't have thousands of website visitors a day. So yeah, I think I agree with everything Scotty said. I wouldn't worry about that too much until you're actually consistently making sales and things are working. Actually wouldn't worry about that at all until then. But yeah, I'd say that's what Scotty said.
Yeah. Here's the thing. If you are an experienced media buyer, an experienced dropshipper, do retargeting on day one. Like, there's nothing stopping you from doing it, but it's not the most important thing for you to be focusing on right at this point. Like, it's not going to make the difference between losing money and making a bunch of money. It's just, that's not what's going to make the breakthrough. The breakthrough is going to come from angles. It's going to come from finding the right creative, finding the right copy, finding the right messaging. That's what you need to be focusing on. And retargeting is just a nice little boost, some extra money, but it's not going to be a game changer. Can we unmute Devin there for a second, see if he has any follow-up questions?
Devin, you are unmuted, brother. Oh, it's a cute puppy.
Thanks. No, I'm good. I just wanted to, that was just kind of the next step in some of this stuff. So I just wanted to know, like, y'all's thoughts on it, just starting out. So,
what kind of numbers are you doing, if you don't mind sharing?
For the last like 5 or 6 days, I've been doing like anywhere from 25 to 150 in profit.
25 to 150 in profit. And what kind of revenue is that?
Anywhere from like 2 to the high end one. The 150 day was like 4 something. I had like a bunch of multi product orders.
Okay.
So I would say I'm consistently doing right now on like an ad spend of like 80 to 100 as I like turn on ad sets and turn them off. I'm doing probably 2 to 250, 275 in revenue on like $80 to $100 ad spend the last like week.
Okay. So you're getting like 200 visitors a day?
Yeah, probably between like 150, 160 and 200, just depends on the day.
Yeah, you can definitely start retargeting, but it's probably going to work, honestly, with you. But like I said, it's not going to be a game changer.
Yeah, for sure.
It's not going to be a big breakthrough, but it'll improve your average ROAS a little.
Okay.
Word. All right, now.
And I think that's all the questions in Slack.
Yeah, now I want to go to David. David, I just unmuted you, brother. Welcome to Boss Builder.
How's it going?
What's up, man?
Was just driving to work. But actually, one of the first questions, I think, the first question you started off with, I struggled with too, is, and you covered it kind of in the mindset, is you're not necessarily the target market. Overcome your thought process of, well, who would buy that? Who would pay $30 for that? Someone will. It may not be you, but finding that creative. And that's been my biggest thing. I sold some products before too through Amazon, physically importing them, shipping them to distribution centers. I didn't care then. For some reason, it's like I care more now because it's being drop shipped. Like, who would buy that? But you did address that of just, you're not necessarily the target market. Overcome that thinking. Let the data tell you who's going to do it.
Exactly. That's just like, that's just with everything. And that's another one of those things that just goes back to thinking like a marketer. And ultimately that's like really the best thing that you can do, is just constantly train yourself to think like that. And understand that, there's 7 billion people in this world, and that's like, everyone knows that, but that's like an incomprehensible large number of people. And we're so like, the way that we think and everything that, determines our own reality has, it's been a result of this tiny world that we live in, the tiny fraction percentage of experiences and things that we've, been around and been raised with and everything like that, compared to the overwhelming majority of the world. And so you have different outlooks, different experiences, different opinions, thoughts, etc., from everyone else out there. So the sooner you realize that, and the sooner you realize that like what you think doesn't determine what everyone else thinks, the better off you'll be, because then you'll realize like, oh shit, I would never buy this, but there's a lot of people out there that would.
Yeah.
I think actually, ironically, this is part of the reason why I do better selling to markets that I'm not a part of, because you'd think it's easier to sell to a market that you are a part of, but if I'm into the thing, then I think, okay, I need to find a product that I would like, but I've never bought anything from a Facebook or an Instagram ad ever. I'm a horrible customer. Like trying to get inside my head is the worst thing I could ever do when I'm trying to sell stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So like I find it easier when I have that bit of like almost separation, where I'm trying to figure out the target customer for the market that I'm not a part of, and I'm just studying. I'm studying people who are buyers. I'm not going, like if I was selling to football teams, I'm not going to the local football team and looking what products they buy, because most of them don't buy any products except for shoes, football strips from their teams. They're not buying dropship products. What you want to look at when you're doing market research is, what do people buy? What do people say? What do people talk about who do buy little sort of more gimmicky like accessories and stuff? You want to look at how people think who actually buy this stuff. If that makes sense.
Yep.
Yeah, because ultimately that's the only opinion that matters, is the opinion of the buyer.
Right.
I could go out, if I wanted to learn something about our market with Blue Ocean, right? I'm not going to go out and tweet it. I mean, maybe I would, but I'd much rather talk to some of you guys.
You probably would.
You guys are buyers. Yeah, I probably would, but I would favor any of your opinions over any random person on Twitter, because you guys are buyers. Your opinion matters infinitely more to me and tells me infinitely more than some random dude who fucking probably doesn't buy shit, who probably thinks that online business is a fucking scam, et cetera, et cetera. Like, his opinion doesn't fucking matter. Y'all's is actually valuable and is actually important, and that's how you have to kind of treat it with your own market. Is that ultimately their opinions are the ones that matter. Not only just the people in your market, the buyers in your market. That's really where the gold information comes from. Everything else is kind of just noise.
Good stuff.
Cool. So David, how far are you through the program so far? What do you think?
I'm 4 or 5 sections into part 2, so through the Oberlo integration there. So I'll get more done this week.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Looking forward to getting your ads up.
Yep, that'll be done.
Yeet.
Fantastic. If anyone has a question, can they just like use that raise their hand feature, and then we'll get it to you? Because right now,
where even is that? Where even is this raise your hand feature?
It's under participants.
How do I raise my hand? Can I not even raise my hand because I'm the host?
You can. Or maybe you can. Do you see me raising my hand now?
Yeah. I just lowered your hand, bitch. All right. Jokes aside. All right. Now I'm going to unmute Fabian. So, am I saying that right? Fabian, you there, brother?
Hang on. Hello?
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, man.
Hey. Yeah, I'm a little bit, I think, behind most of the other people on the call. I'm just finishing off module 4 as we speak. I'm hoping to obviously submit my notes tomorrow. Other than that, I don't really have much that I want to ask on this call in particular.
Cool. I just wanted to make sure that you were getting along good and getting everything, getting on track.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Fantastic.
Cool. All right. Well, I think at this point, we only have we don't have that many people in here. So I think I'm going to unmute everyone, because the reason we did that is,
there's going to be more.
Yeah. Cause we're supposed to have like how many, there could have been up to 30 people in here. But yeah. All right, Daryl, looks like you have your.
Yeah. So, my product uses consumables. So what I want is, when they click add to cart, I want one of the apps that pops up and says, hey, you're going to need this, right? You're going to need this. And just keep suggesting as they go through the purchase process. It looked like the Zipify or whatever, the one you guys recommended, was more for like after they made the purchase. But I want it like in the add to cart phase. So do you guys have any recommendations? There's a whole bunch of them to choose from, but the ones that work well, any recommendations?
Yeah, I want to say the one that I used, I believe it was discounted pricing. I think that the discounted pricing app that allows you to do the quantity breaks and stuff, I'm not sure if it would allow you to do that specifically with like a subscription or something like that, since it's a consumable. But it does give you the ability to do like in-cart upsells, I believe. But even for that, I think Zipify would probably work pretty well for that. Because the thing with doing pre-purchase upsells is they have the ability to turn people off if you get too aggressive with them, right? And you don't want to turn them off when they have the product in their cart and they're about to buy. That's why the post-purchase upsell is so effective, because at that point there's nothing you can do to lose the sale. You already have the sale. Everything from there is just a bonus on top of it. So I think that you'd probably be best off just doing Zipify. That's probably what I would do in your situation.
Right.
Or even if you want to do it, even if you want to do it on the add to cart page, I wouldn't start with that. I would start without it. Just keep it simple to start, get it converting, and then add stuff like that. I wouldn't use Zipify to start either. I would just focus on the basics. Same with the retargeting. There's nothing against doing all this stuff on day one, but just adds complexity. It adds an extra step. It adds extra stuff. And it's just better to keep it streamlined and focus on
so here's an example.
Going to really move the needle.
Here's an example. My products are USB powered, right? So if you want to use this product, you got to have it next to your computer. If you don't have it next to your computer, you need one of those adapters like you charge your iPhone with, right? So I put that adapter on there to say, hey, if you want to just plug this into the wall, you got to have this doohickey, right? Otherwise, you got to use your computer. You don't have a USB, everywhere in your house like I do. But so that's real cheap add-ons. Like, hey, if you want to plug this in the wall, you need this $3 USB charger, right? I tried the Apple charger with these, and it gets really hot. So that's not recommended. But this one is like a high current USB charger that powers these things. So you see what I'm saying?
I mean, that's a fine upsell, but I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't mess with add to cart or in cart upsells before you've got it converting. I'd get that working first, because otherwise, what you do if it doesn't work? You don't know if it's the upsell, if it's the ad. Like, you're just adding an extra unknown variable that you need to figure out.
Take a look at the help section in your Alexa app.
Who's got an Alexa?
Alexa, play Big Booty. Just kidding. Don't do that. Alexa, don't do that.
I'm having trouble
This is a professional call. All right. Jokes aside, I think Adrian just joined. I'm gonna unmute Adrian. See if it'll actually work. Adrian, you there, brother?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
What's going on, everybody?
What's up, my man? How you doing?
Doing good. How you doing?
Chilling and killing, brother.
I like it. Just joining late, but I'm still here.
Yeah, man, it's good to have you. That, for future reference for all you guys, don't ever feel like you have to absolutely be here right on time. If you can't make it right at noon, if you can make it at 1, or if you can make it at 12:30, that's still better than nothing. So right. You just joined. You just joined this past week, correct?
Yeah, June 1st.
Awesome, man. Awesome. It's great to have you. How's everything going with you so far?
It's going well. I'm still just working on getting the store set up. I have everything imported. Just working on doing a bunch of market research. That was pretty much my entire day yesterday was market research.
That's what I like to hear.
So, as you always say, 80% market research. So
it's so important, man. It's so important. And I've been going back and I've been doing more, and I've been trying to, I've been reading this book. It's over there. I'm not going to grab it. It's called Over Deliver by Brian Kurtz. And talking about, I believe it was Eugene Schwartz, who wrote this book that I have right here, Breakthrough Advertising.
Yeah.
But what he said that he did is if he didn't spend at least 2 hours a week researching his market, then like he was dead. He said, if I don't spend at least 2 hours a week getting into my markets world, talking to the people, researching them, finding out more about them, then I'm going to be dead in the water. But if I can do that, then I'm going to have a leg up on everyone that I'm competing with because I know more about them. I know what they want. I know what they desire. I know what they don't want. I know how to say, I know what to say and how to say it to get them to, to buy what I'm selling them. So it's so fucking crucial.
Needs big on that knowledge. Not a very quick reader though. Yeah, he actually told me about this book. It's a good book. You should pick it up if you've got the chance. It's definitely a good book. He told me about it like a week ago.
I gotta go let my assistant in because I lost my keys and I had to take his. So give me a minute.
All right. So I guess I'll have to take over. Unfortunately, I think you guys are all muted, except for Adrian, and I don't think I can unmute you. All right. So Adrian, is there anything that you need help with right at this point?
I posted a question in last night on your post in
Gotcha.
Slack about the
oh yeah. Yeah, we covered that a minute ago. So it's about the how to display the shipping times, right?
Yeah.
So here's the thing with the shipping times. You should display it. I think you should put it on the product page.
Okay.
Is everyone going to read that? No.
No.
And that's just the way it is. Like, what are you going to do? You are going to get some emails about that, and then you just remind them what the policy is. You say like that's just like it says in the product page, and that's just part of to doing business. And honestly, even if you have really fast shipping, you're still going to get that.
Yeah. I mean, everybody
knows things about people. Honestly, I don't think I've ever complained. Like I don't think I've ever sent an email because I didn't get my product fast enough, even when it was late.
I never have.
And then there's people who will complain every time.
Yeah.
And it's partly about how you do it, and it's partly just about the people who are buying. Some people will never complain, even if it's outrageous. Some people will complain at the first possible opportunity. And I think if you just put it on the product page, you're on the right path. You're doing everything you can, and the rest just basically deal with it when it happens.
I can't even imagine these people, man. Like, I get something in the mail, and I'm like, oh, I wonder what this is, because I don't even remember the shit that I order. Like, how do these people know the exact date and the exact shit, and like, they're like, it should be here by 3:05 p.m. on Sunday. Like, dude, chill the fuck out, man. Like, but that's what it is. I mean, that's literally how people are. And that's why, it's important that you actually answer your customer service emails and are just polite. I mean, most people, if you just reply to them, like they'll understand. Obviously, there's going to be dickheads out there who are just going to be, wanting a refund if it's a minute later than they expected. But it's just the nature of
Last week I got a DM on Facebook, one of my pages. It said like, it's been 2 days. My product is still not shipped, but you guys have had time to change your fucking logo. As if the person making my logo was the same one putting the product in the damn box.
Oh, Devin said, as he said, let's get to the real questions. How many orders were you getting a day when you got sick of the Shopify cha-ching? I would say probably like, no, it definitely does. Although I would turn it back on during Cyber Monday. I turned it back on just to make fun of it. That was ridiculous. It was every minute. It was retarded. But now I'd say I probably turned them off like after like 3K a day consistently in revenue. I would say that's probably when I turn them off, and then whenever I would go and hang out like with Sebastian or Thaddeus or anyone, then I would go turn it back on just to flex on them a little bit. The worst is when you have, not only do you have the notifications on, but you also have your sound on your phone, so you actually get the cha-ching and not just the vibration. That's a really satisfying feeling, especially when you're in public and people hear it and they're like, "What is that?" I just made money, motherfucker.
Or your mom texted you.
Yeah, no. She has her own special ringtone. It's not the cha-ching. When I ordered my store, most came within 10 days. Wow, really?
Fantastic.
That's awesome, Daryl. That's fucking.
Yeah. That's really good.
I just got 2 in 5 minutes. Kind of pissed I'm muted on here. I thought I unmuted all y'all. I tried to.
Yeah, it went back. I think they muted themselves, or did they not?
Yeah, I think everyone who's muted themselves. Y'all shouldn't be muted anymore.
No, it remuted us for some reason.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I only had I had one product that didn't send me tracking. It looked like the order didn't even go through, so I was kind of nervous about it. It took 18 days, but it finally showed up this week. But everybody else was here within about 10 days. That looked pretty good, so I'll continue to order from those guys during fulfillment.
That's actually solid. I figured that ePacket was about what they said at 25 days. Sounds like it's a little bit less than that, though.
Those aren't shipping from the US, though, are they? They're Chinese.
Say that again. I didn't hear.
Are they shipping from the US? No.
No, these were coming from China. You could tell from the packaging, the label on the packaging, said China. It got here pretty fast. I was pretty surprised.
Yeah, that's excellent.
Dope. Well, I think that's about all the questions we had lined up. And I think that's about all the topics that we felt were crucial to talk about today. Y'all got anything else? Any other questions? Literally anything at all. Like, there's no stupid questions. We're here for a reason.
There are definitely stupid questions.
Yeah, there absolutely are. But I just, I'm trying to make this a little bit of a safe space. You know what I mean? We got to have our own e-com safe space, Scotty.
Yeah, so one question about PayPal. So trying to look to the future, right? And my plan is to have multiple stores, all feeding the same PayPal account. So I have like what I'm going to have corporate name. So I started PayPal on that corporate name. So when people order through my website, it's going to say that corporate name. It's not going to say the website name. So it's kind of incongruent. So I was just going to put a statement on there that, hey, this is Joe. This is owned by this company, right? So the people can see that that's where their money's going to go. I haven't contacted PayPal to see if I can have like aliases on that merchant account.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that it's that big of a deal. It can be a little incongruent, but I'm sure that you can probably think of some situations where you've probably bought something, in a similar fashion where the brand or the company wasn't the same as the company that actually owned it, right? That's pretty common. Companies have multiple companies under them. Sometimes in the billing it'll say something different, but yeah, I wouldn't worry too much about that.
But do include a note. I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, I'll definitely include something like that.
Have you guys noticed a difference in the success or failure of a store based on selling products that are $20 to $30, let's say, versus selling things that are $80 plus or $100 plus? I mean, we're doing the same work selling a product. Ultimately, would you say it's better to sell something that costs more, margins are higher, things like that, typically better customers? But have you noticed or done anything dropshipping wise where you sold something that was $30 versus $80, and why would you pick one or another?
So I'm gonna just take the first take. I think Scotty and I will probably have different takes on this, to be honest with you. My take is that generally speaking, yeah, it's definitely more ideal to be selling something that has $30 profit margins as opposed to $10 profit margins. However, I think about it more so in the long term, because what comes along with that, generally speaking, is the higher the margin, the more difficult it's going to be to sell. a lot more difficult to sell someone an $1,000 product than it is a $10 product, right? So my thought process is that, yes, it is better, generally speaking, to be selling something that has a higher margin. I think that's, that's just kind of pretty true across the board. But when you're first getting started, is it better to get that success faster selling a lower margin product and then move into selling a higher margin product than it is to struggle trying to sell a higher margin product until maybe eventually you get it working? I think the first way is probably better. But again, I think that's why it's really important that once you have something working, that you test the pricing. Because, and this is a story I've told many times. I don't know if I mentioned it in Boss Builder or not. But, a test we ran on my store last year was just raising the price of all the products just completely recklessly by $20, which percentage-wise is obviously a huge percentage. But we were like, fuck it, why not? Let's try it. And it turned out that was actually more profitable, right? Our conversion rate went down. We had less purchases, but because we had less cost of goods sold, and because the average order value was so much higher, the profit ended up being more. So I think generally you always want to test the pricing. And it's also tough because with, dropship products, generally speaking, it's going to be tough to find really solid products on AliExpress that you can get these really high margins on. Like that's just kind of how it is. That's going to be really, really tough. But I think going forward, like long term, like in my example, like what I did, what I'm doing is pretty much exactly that, right? Starting off selling a little bit, lower price. I think my margins were probably still pretty good. But now they're even higher. And we're selling them, products for $70, $90 instead of, $20, $30, $40. Actually have that real brand and these custom products, custom branding, everything like that. So the perceived value is higher. The actual value is higher because the products are higher quality. But yeah, I would say that's kind of my take. Yes, it's better, but it's also more difficult. And I think that it's probably better to start off a little bit lower margin. That's gonna be easier, and then kind of build up to that.
Okay, so I'm not quite sure where the disagreement was supposed to come from.
I was going to say that because you've done a lot of free plus shipping stuff, and I've never done free plus shipping. That was kind of my thought.
Yeah, free plus shipping worked great because we were getting cost per purchases of like $1.50 to $3 on a $10 sale, and but the profit margin still is 20-30%. So the profit margin as a percentage is the same as if you're selling more expensive products generally. I don't do that anymore. I don't sell anything below $20. $19.95 is my lowest product. The thing about higher margin as a percentage is always better. I'd always prefer to sell something at 4x increase the price, 4x the AliExpress price is always going to be better than 3x if you can pull it off, right? However, higher margin as a dollar amount is not necessarily a good thing. So if you have, David, I think you were talking about products that are higher price, talking 50 to 150 to 200, right?
Right.
It wasn't about $9 versus $40.
Correct.
Yeah. So what you're going to run into with those more expensive products, really once you go above 50, is that you have to think you've got a break-even point per purchase, right? You've got your profit margin. You can spend up to that level. And once you go above that, you're losing money. And when you're testing new products with Facebook, you're going to have to spend 1, 2, 3 times your break-even point, at least, per ad set. And if you've got a product selling for, we've got one product I'm selling for a client for $150, and our gross profit per sale is something like 90. So our break-even point is somewhere in the 60s. Does that math add up? Yeah, no, that math doesn't add up. Point is, anyway, I lost my track of thought there, but point is, the more expensive your product is, the more you're going to have to spend testing each ad set. So you're not going to get data on an ad set for $50 if you've got a product selling for 150. It's going to take $300, $400, $500 to test an ad set at that point.
Right. So it's also the learn to walk before you run principle. Good at selling products for $20, $30. Dial in how to run your ads, how to do your research, for your market. Then test a new expensive product while you're running your the initial.
It's definitely something you can test, something you can add into the mix, but it's not even inherently better. Because it's going to cost you more. It's going to cost you considerably more to sell it, even once you get it working. So put aside testing. Imagine in an ideal world, first try was going to work. It's still going to cost you way more in ad spend to get one customer, which then means it's going to cost you way more to get 500 customers to do a purchase lookalike audience. And everything just costs you more. And as a percentage, your margin is going to be about the same, honestly.
Yeah. And then
I know some guys selling products that could be $39 products and they'd have nice margins, and they're selling them for way, way more. And obviously, if they can pull that off, that's great for them, but they're having issues. Shopify payments, PayPal, Stripe, because they're essentially selling like a $2, $3, $4 AliExpress product with a 30x markup. And then you're going to run into a bunch of issues. So finding a product that can actually retail for 150, that's hard.
Yeah. And then what I was going to say is another thing to be aware of is if a product is more expensive, if you can sell a product for say $150, let's say that product is going to cost you $40. So the thing with AliExpress is, not every product on there is fucking Louis Vuitton quality. Probably pretty close to the opposite of that. So if you're selling an expensive product and the quality's not there, then when people ask for refunds, you're going to be losing a lot more money than you would on a cheaper product, because not only do you have to refund the actual, the price of their order, which is a lot higher, you just paid a lot more to acquire them as a customer, and you lose all that because they just refunded. So it's higher risk. And I had some issues with that last year with a product that we were upselling. Pretty much the exact same thing. I think it was like a $40 product on AliExpress, and I think we were selling it for like a little bit less than 100. And then we got returns from that. It was a lot bigger of a hit because it was a more expensive product for us to buy on our end. So that's something to keep in mind. That's not as important as what Scotty was saying. But yeah, I think we beat that with a dead horse a little bit. Beat that stick with that horse.
Nailed it. Yeah.
It's all in the minutiae.
The minutiae. Okay. All right. All that bullshit aside. If there's anything else that I want to cover, I mean, I think we covered pretty much everything that I had in mind. I think we got to all y'all's questions. Have any of y'all come up with anything, thought of anything in the last couple of minutes?
I did have a follow-up question for Scotty regarding what we were talking about.
Go ahead.
With the shipping times, I had a thought, and what do you guys think of it? If I find that 95% of customer service emails that I'm getting are about the product, the shipping times, how long it's taking, where is it at, and I thought about maybe having an automatic reply set up that puts just the details of that right there in that automatic reply. Whether that's what they're emailing about or not, I feel like since that is what it is in most cases, just display that also in an automatic reply.
Scotty, I think we need to make a part, or did you do this? I don't remember if we did this or not, about how to set it up so that, or like kind of what to do with the tracking information, uploading it into Shopify so that Shopify sends that email to your customers with the information about when their order got sent out and tracking information and stuff.
Yeah, it's in there.
That's in there.
Okay. If you do that, if you upload the tracking info, as relatively quickly when it's once it's in there in AliExpress, then your customer should get an email with the information and a link to track it. So that should cut down on that if you're doing that. Yeah, other than that, I guess that was a question for Scotty. I kind of interrupted. Scotty, why don't you take over?
Would I do an automatic reply? I wouldn't, honestly. Why not? I don't really know. I guess that's a good idea, really. I know some big Kino body, Greg Gallagher, he does that. I know, annoying as hell, because whenever I emailed his support, it wasn't for any of the basics. It was for something more complicated. But yeah, I guess you can do that. If you're asking that question, I take it you've already got a store up and running that is doing orders.
Yeah, I've been doing this a little while, so I have a general store set up, the one that I linked to you to kind of take a look at my theme. So yeah, that's I still have that a little bit.
So do you have an assistant that's handling customer support yet?
No, not yet.
Okay, so that's essentially what you're going to have pretty soon once you're doing any sort of orders. And I guess that's probably why I haven't improved this much, because I don't need to go in and check all these emails and answer them. So setting up an automatic response, yeah, I think you can do that. But the problem is you still need to go through and check them. That's the thing.
Of course. Yeah.
But yeah, you can do that.
Okay.
Cool. Anything else, my people? Beautiful Sunday. Actually,
not it's pretty run. So thanks. Appreciate the call, guys. Thanks for everything.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. Thanks for being here.
I think Devin and Daryl are now the loyal listeners.
Yeah, I think you're doing a show note for all three so far. And well, Jason has too. Jason he didn't stay the whole time.
Yeah, that's true.
Probably back in Italy. Isn't that where he was last time?
Traveling around the world.
Yeah.
Let me ask you all this: is there another method that you guys like? Would you guys like to be more directly reminded of the live calls and when they are? For example, through email or even through text. We want as many people to get on these live calls as possible. Obviously, we're not going to fucking be like, make it like try to make it mandatory or anything like that. Ultimately, it's up to you guys to to come here and participate.
Kind of asking the wrong people.
Yeah, I guess y'all are. Yeah, that's a good point, Scotty. I'm not even taking my own advice.
But we're probably also the ones that are like the most active in Slack. So
that's the thing. So I'm wondering whether that's because you're the ones that use Slack, or whether you're the ones who are most active in general and the ones that are working the most on it. Because if that's the case, if we get the guys on the live calls who are doing the most work and the most active building our site, that's fine. That's fine with me.
So to me, the process of joining the meeting is a little clunky. It keeps trying to get me to reinstall the Zoom software, right? So if we had the link a little earlier, it would be easier. It just seemed clunky to join the meeting. It took a while to get in.
Yeah, kind of
interesting. Has anyone else had that?
Yeah, I would kind of agree with that.
Really? Okay.
Do you guys have like the Zoom app?
Yeah, I can do it on my phone. It's easy, but when I join from the computer, it's like it tries to get you to re-download it, even though it's going to download it, or join but from the web browser. It's weird.
So where are you guys?
Yeah, it doesn't like it on the computer. Like it didn't know I had the app installed, but I was able to get in. It's just clunky.
But phone's fine. Phone's easy. But if you try to join from a laptop, I think is probably where Daryl's talking about.
Yeah, but like there's an app for the laptop, and for me, it just as soon as I click on the link, like I use the same process as you guys do. Nate sets it up and he sends me a link, and I join. And it works for me perfectly. So maybe need to look into that.
Maybe it's a browser issue.
It should just open in the app. I think it might be an issue with the app on your computer. Maybe it needs to be updated or something.
Yeah.
garage. Other than that, you guys have a good weekend.
Back at you, my man. All right. Anything else before we get going, fellas? All good?
Yeah.
All right, Devin, I want to see a $700 day this week.
Dude, I'm trying. I got some ads loaded up to go on Monday, so
Let's go.
freaking work in. My conversion rate is like freaking crazy high. Like I just need to start getting more and more people onto the store. Like that's been my belief. What's that?
What's the percentage?
Like I think my average over the like now 3.5 weeks I've been running ads is like almost 3%.
Hell yeah.
Like, and if you take out the first week where my ads were just shit and I put in like the newer video ad with the newer ad copy I've been using, like probably over 3%. So it's just a matter of getting more people, like my ads getting more traffic to the store, I guess is what I need to work on. Because once they're on the store, it converts, or it seems to.
Yeah, based off where you're at, Devin, I think that if you just spend most of your time testing new shit in Facebook ads and the Facebook ads dashboard, new audiences, new creatives, even, well, I would say probably not even new products. If you just test, with the product and the offer that's working for you right now, you just get a ton of new audiences, new creatives, and you slowly start scaling the ones that are working vertically, like we lay out in the program. You'll be fucking set, man. I mean, it's kind of it's like a slow process because you don't want to scale vertically super fast and fuck everything up. But if you do that, I mean, yeah, I see no reason that you shouldn't be doing $1,000 days definitely by the end of the month.
Sweet. How do you
order the product yet?
Have I?
Yeah.
No. And I'm just now getting like in the last like 4 days, I've gotten customers actually receiving their products. So I haven't gotten emails yet, so that's good. But I probably should order.
How are your creatives? Like, have you got great options straight from the listing?
No. So I sent my product originally, like I just ordered off Amazon, same one, and sent it to a buddy for just creatives like in their kitchen. And that seemed to work. Like I threw those up on the product page, but I tried to run those just like a static image and a carousel with them. And they just didn't convert well. I went to Fiverr and got a guy that just threw together like some ad copy that I had given him on the video. And it's like a combination of cut scenes or like static pictures, like kind of blended together in that kind of, drop shipping ad video way. But I kind of don't know how to like keep going with that. Like asking him to do it, like just make a different one, or what's the best option for that?
Yeah,
because mine's not something like it's not an accessory. It's not something like you wear. Like it's really it's something you're using. It's like a blogging item. So it's like it made sense to me that the video converted better because you actually see it in use.
Yeah, if you can make more videos, keep tweaking that.
Yeah,
that can be really impactful. If you can have different people in the video, is your friend like in the video, or is it just his hands?
No, like that. The buddy I sent it to, like I guess it's his wife. I mean, she just took like pictures, like not even of other people in it. The video I got was just a guy off Fiverr that like did his thing and like got videos and images just like off the internet to kind of splice together.
Yeah, you want to make a custom video. That's one of the next steps.
Yeah,
definitely. And then another thing I would definitely recommend doing with the existing video is testing the first, like changing the first like 3 seconds or so.
Yeah.
And testing like what I guess people call like the scroll stopper. Because that's the most impactful part of the entire video is the first couple seconds in the thumbnail.
Gotcha. Yeah. See, I've got I really haven't tried different thumbnails, but this week I'll have like 2 different thumbnails going in ads.
Yeah, that's really important because that way you don't have to necessarily go through the entire process of getting an entirely new video ad.
Right.
You can just change the first 2, 3, 4 seconds of it and make it more, engaging, more enticing, more attention grabbing. It'll probably perform better.
All right. Dope.
Sweet.
All right, we're going to wrap this up, or has anyone got a last-minute question?
Word. All right, fellas. We appreciate your time. Thanks for being here. As always, anything at all, the Boss Builder Slack chat is the place. Yeah, utilize that. I'd like to see that utilized a little bit more. I think that it definitely can be. And just don't feel don't feel hesitant to ask any questions that you have, even if you think they might be or whatever.
They're a bit less active with the new group, I feel, maybe because it's a bigger group.
Yeah, I think it's a bigger group, and I think that I think people are taking.
You're joining something that's already in place. You don't know what the etiquette is.
Yeah, well, I also think that people are moving a little bit slower compared to the first 10.
Possibly, yeah. So yeah, anything you have, like, and share it. If you find a good resource, share it. If you find something that you're not sure about, ask a question. If you get those first sales, definitely post a screenshot. Definitely tell us about it, and just build that group up.
Yeah, man, flex on us. We want to see it. All right, fellas. We'll talk to you next call. Kill this week. Let us know if you have any questions. We'll talk soon.
Thanks, guys.
All right, thanks, guys.
Salute.
All right, have a nice one.